Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back for another Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion. By the end of this show, I was really frustrated. I feel like we wasted so much time talking about things that a lot of us don't care about, that if we hadn't done that, maybe we could actually get to something here. But then I also noticed how when things get too hot, Carlos likes to protect certain individuals. So, Tisha accused Stormy of popping pills. She accused Kiki of still being on drugs. Had this whole pregnancy story lie. Been building a house on Scott Manor for years that we've heard nothing else about. She and Marceau are in a current legal battle, well, more so Marceau, about fraud and scamming people. And yet we don't hear about that. We also don't hear about the threats about exposing Mel for revenge P. But instead, we're talking about other things that don't matter. With all the things that have gone on this show, both on and off camera, why are we talking to Betty Crocker about the beef that she has with Mel? Why are we also spending all of this time on Kiki and Tisha when maybe not I don't care? So we pick up with Tisha and Kiki still going at about who cheated on who. She says that this has been going on during their entire marriage. Kiki, without any shame, says yes. Sure have, and we both have. Your point is, Kiki basically says, unlike Tisha, she's not a stupid, dumb trick. Tisha claims she's not dumb, and she says that Kiki's dumb because she's the one who married him. We do not care, but at this point, neither one of their marriages look golden to me, so neither one of them look great. We know that Tisha basically said last episode that she paid for her husband, then boyfriend at the time, to go out on this date with this other woman. Kiki explains that 18 years ago, she gave Armand, who was her boyfriend at the time, money. And then later on, she found out that he was on a date with another girl. She went to the restaurant and acted like a fool. Martell then says, Tisha, you sitting there making it seem like she prepositioned the girl like if she was a prostitute or something. And that's not the same thing. And Mel agrees. They're throwing each other under the bus. I feel like for them to be cousins and to have supposedly been so close to each other at one point, this is a bit much, especially since both of them have children that are of age that can understand what's going on, especially Kiki with her son. We know he's at least in high school. I think it's wrong. I think that there's some things that really should be off limits. Tisha's going to continue to stay with her man and be in denial, and Kiki may or may not stay with hers. Tisha, after all this time, decides to now talk about the whole situation and went on with this guy on the phone, and how she pulls out a paper behind her husband to basically show what the text message exchange was. If they really went over it, we don't know. But she said that in this exchange, you can see Kiki begging for info. She says that Kiki was using them as a storyline. We then have Carlos asking Mel and Kimmy to say whether or not they think that Tisha is in denial about what's been stated about her husband. This is Carlos being messy, because what does it matter what these two women who are not with him think about this? Think about what Tisha and her husband have going on. We already know that Kimmy is going to protect Marceau, because that's what she does. She's very Mel identified. And we know that Mel is going to watch her words too, because at this point, I don't think Mel wants any smoke with anybody. She's just trying to do her thing, produce, film, and move on. So Mel says, go, Kimmy. Kimmy says, go, Mel. Mel says, go, girl. Neither one of them want to answer the question, and Martell is laughing because he thinks this is hilarious. Kimmy says, I don't think Tisha's in denial, but I do think she's over it. If it's true, bring the girl out. It's been like 5 years at this point. There should be pictures. There should be proof. It's just she's tired of it. She's not in denial. She's tired. Mel says she thinks that it's a lot, and it's been a lot. And from her experience, when you hear things like this, that you don't just want to up and leave. You want to make sure that you have concrete information. And she hasn't had that. She hasn't had anything concrete. I guess that's fair of Mel, but Mel was very careful in answering that question, because she's basically saying that she does think that there's something out there, but she hasn't gotten the proof yet. Kiki thinks her cousin is dumb because she's not believing her. She said there's no reason for her to make this up. And as I said earlier, he thinks Kiki's doing this to see, to get a storyline on TV. So we then see this montage of Kiki and the Crime Stoppers clip and her supposedly stealing. We know that nothing has come of it. We then see the claims about her being on pills, the claims about her being on drugs, Mel giving her a test, seeing the negative results. Because production is messy, they highlight the fact that methadone is one of the things that came up on the test, and it came up as negative. Carlos talks about how Kiki was throwing a drink and says when Mel did it that he understood why she threw the drink in Martel's face, and then he touches Martel like he's trying to apologize for bringing that up and laughing at it, because he's always trying to please that man. Carlos says the cast and crew have said that Kiki has been erratic at times. He says that, to Tisha's credit, she tried to ignore you at the barbecue, Kiki. And Kiki says, yeah, she did that because she knows when I'm ignored, I'm triggered. That's not an excuse to throw a drink in her face. I don't think Kiki handled it correctly. And because Kiki did that, she made things worse for herself. Tisha says that she's still on drugs. She was on drugs a year ago. Marceau says he'll bet $100 that she's still on it. Maurice says Kiki was looking for a moment when she got to that barbecue to be on the show, and now she got it. Kimmy said that her first thought was not that she was on drugs, but now looking back at it, seeing her jittery and sweating, she thinks she is. Carlos brings up the test and how Mel gave her the test and how it said she was negative and everything, including methadone. So he wants to know how she managed to pass the test and it say that she was negative for methadone when she admitted to taking methadone. I did bring this up in my review, and I've just come to the conclusion that maybe she didn't have enough methadone in her system for it to come up. I think that they could have very easily cleared this up by getting a doctor to come to the show or to come on the phone and address it and say how, maybe at-home tests don't pick it up, or maybe depending on the amount of her dosage, like, Kiki, how much of a dosage do you get daily or something like that? Maybe that's why I didn't pick it up. There could have been various reasons, but instead they're trying to allude to the fact that she basically cheated. So Mel says she did not know that she was taking the test that day, so she couldn't have just had urine prepared. She and production walked to the bathroom with her, and Marceau said, okay, so basically the test is lying, and Maurice adds, or somebody else took it. Kiki says she never did any hard drugs. Her drug of choice was Percocet. They go back and forth about how Marceau was there for Kiki and how he thinks she's on drugs and how he picked her up when she was out. And she was like, you picked me up because my husband wouldn't give me a ride and all this other stuff. I don't care, because they're talking so much about something that we're not privy to. Let's talk about the things that we've seen actually play out on the show and social media, if you're going to bring up stuff that wasn't on camera. Because this right here, we the people don't care. They go on a commercial break because it's getting too heated between them and Carlos don't want to deal with it. And we talk about the Whitlows as well as the Fletchers. Chris and Carlos do some dancing that really was like, I don't understand the point of it. Chris normally looks nice, but I did not like his suit. He looked like a piece of red carpet. I was like, Chris, why is it so much red? And I'm not into guys with the pants that look like high water pants. Why is this a thing? And no socks. I don't like it. Prom is gonna be coming up for my son. Next year is his senior year, and that's not happening. I'm glad he's not into that style, because it's a no for me. So, we get to the Martel segment. We talk about him and his fake relationship with Sheree, how 1 minute he wants to be with Mel, then the next he doesn't, how 1 minute he wants forgiveness and the next he's doing something crazy. I don't understand why we're talking about this. Carlos loves bringing up this Martel and Mel thing, because honestly, what do either one of them have without this as a story? Mel does a lot of things, but her not being able to film with her kids does switch up some stuff. and she's really not making us privy to a lot. So I want to know what else they have to give. And I like Mel, but what else do they have to give? So Martell is now saying that him and Sheree aren't a couple and they weren't a couple, that they're just friends. Kimmy says that she didn't see the warm and fuzziness between them. That's why she made certain statements during filming. And she said she didn't see any kisses. She didn't see any tongue. He then tries to tell Kimmy that he hasn't seen that with her or her husband either. Carlos asks if this was a business arrangement. Martell says no, he didn't even want to film with her on her show. Only reason why I feel like he wouldn't want to film with her was because he knew that he was still trying to get at other women, and that may have messed up what he had going on with those. But Martell very much so wanted to be seen with her because they did different things, took different photo ops to make themselves be seen. They talk about how inappropriate it was for Tiffany to talk to Sheree about their sexual acts and things of that nature. And Lou then says that he did not feel it was appropriate for the two guys to confront Tiffany the way they did. And I agree. Two men did not need to do that. If they wanted to do that, then Lou should have been there. Tiffany said that she was offended when Marceau said that she was being called a Karen. Marceau said it's someone who's over opinionated and puts their opinion off on others. That's why he called her that. They're like, so you are too. I don't think that that's the only reason why he called her a Karen. Marceau is very aware of the stuff that he does. He keeps stuff going. Martell claims he stopped seeing Sheree because he needed to focus on himself. Meanwhile, Sheree said that they stopped because of the negative press, according to Carlos. I don't know how true that is. I don't remember that. I think that if they stopped for anything, it was because she realized that Martell couldn't even fake it right. Not only that, he's not in her price range. Like, Sheree wants people with some form of money, and she can't flex with him when he has all of those children, different mothers of his children, as well as he's broke. Like, what job does he have? Because I don't see him plugging Inez wine a whole bunch, and his suits, he didn't come up with $100,000 to do his own line. So what does he have? Okay. Carlos keeps bringing up Mel as a reason for why he struggles to date, and I don't think that's even relevant. I want Carlos to find a new narrative. Nell says that he did say on camera that he wishes that he could change things and he still has feelings for her. Mel says he says it to her too. Martell said that was something that was said because of filming, and made up all types of excuses for it. But even them talking about the name change, he only talked about it because it was being presented to him. And Mel's like, it doesn't make sense that you would have such an opinion about me changing it. And he's like, well, you changed your name out of the blue. But he only talked about it for the scene. We then have Marceau in the background saying little comments. And he's saying everything that we want to say. And one of the things he wants to know is whether one of the reasons why he's now trying to switch it up is because he's in a relationship with his son's mother. That would be Coleslaw, Ariane, side piece, whatever y'all call her, ponytail. That would be her. And he's like, are you saying that you're not in a relationship? And he says, no, we're not. And Mel says he's lying because when my kids are there, she's there almost every day. Carlos asks her if this hurts her, and Mel's like, it doesn't hurt, but it does make me want to go in protective mode. I personally, this is Mel, says that she'll never trust someone who says nasty things about the kid's mom and their father. Martell knows that she's speaking the truth. The things that Mel are saying here are truthful, because he then tries to interrupt her and prevent her from saying what she's saying, but she's right. That lady has said all types of things, of disrespectful things about Mel, talked about her children, talked about Mel's medical history, said things about her and divulged things that should not have been divulged, talked about how her children are always sick or how they look. And she said various things online about Mel and disrespected Mel and continues to go at Mel because she wants Mel's attention. And she says things that Martell wants her to say, but this man can't stand on his own 2 feet and he always needs someone to be around. So the 1 week that you fought so hard to have your children, why does she have to always be there? You can pick up your son and not have to have her there, but you're dating her, you're seeing her, you're involved with her. He then brings up the 11 babysitters. Mel says, do you see how he's so quick to defend her? He brings up things to use against me when I'm sitting here talking about the person who has for years tried to torture and come in between our marriage. She DM'd me. She did things to me. How dare he? He brings up the paperwork and how in the paperwork it says how Mel has a whole bunch of babysitters because he's going to talk about what he did. Of course, it says it in the paperwork. The paperwork he's speaking about is what he filed. It's what he alleged. Mel says she knows what's in the paperwork, but she's not talking about the paperwork. She's talking about the transcript. She's talking about the questions that were asked by her attorney and how he answered them. So at one point, the attorney asked about the relationship with Sheree, and he said it's not a relationship. It's a business arrangement. He says, so if I go get the paperwork, it's not going to say that. You're such a liar. You're an effing liar. You're such a effing liar. And he storms off. Might I add, as he storms off, he looks like he has something that is traveling behind him as his arms are going like this. It looks like he has on a diaper and something stuck. So Marceau is like, you knew this whole time that it was a business arrangement and you just let us sit here and talk about it. And everybody gets a chuckle out of it. And everybody knew it was a business arrangement. He brings out the papers and wants Mel to flip through them. And she says, those aren't even the right papers. I'm talking about the transcript. He says, liar, liar, making me look horrible out here, making me look horrible on TV and the internet. No, you're not, she's not to blame for him looking horrible. His side piece is doing all of that and he's doing all of that. He's making himself look horrible. Now you sitting there arguing with this woman, cursing and stuff at her to the point where Carlos has to get up and tell you to calm down. That's him making himself look horrible. Why does Carlos keep cutting off? Because then he ends it. Why does he keep cutting off things that actually matter and bringing up the stupid mess? We don't care about the stupid mess. We don't care about Betty Crocker and them. We don't care. Mel says, you see how toxic it was in that house? And he goes, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. She's like, yes, it was. That's why I beat your A that time. They laugh about it. Mel, I got to be honest now. You can't be sitting there walking around talking about beating his A and then go and file DV stuff against him. I'm just saying, you might have just messed yourself up here on TV saying that, and then you might be possibly the one who just recently filed something against him. Now, can you get him for the revenge P? Yes, you can, but he might be able to use this against you. You shouldn't have said that, okay? We come back from commercial break talking about Tiffany's postpartum. She did not know how common it was. She didn't think it would happen to her. Lewis says for 4 months he was on the road while that was going on. He came back and he could tell how bad things were. He said he had a feeling that some things were bad, but he didn't think it was that bad. And then it clicked. She told you that it was bad. So don't sit there and act like you just didn't. She told you. Carlos says for her that, well, first he asks her if she's coming back. She doesn't really answer the question. He then tells her if she did, we didn't see it, that the door will always be open. We then come back from commercial with Betty Crocker and Junior arriving, and they talk about the drama in their family. I'm not going over all the antics because I don't care. Betty Crocker didn't like how Mel didn't set the record straight when she went live. Mel said, let's be clear. There has been more than one person in my home. When I said that somebody had been in my home and recorded me, that Stormy was not the only one in my home. And they were like, well, when you said that, it was being filmed. Me personally, I didn't think it was Stormy. I thought it was Destiny. But everybody else apparently thought it was Stormy, and they were going under her post and saying things. And she was like, Stormy said, you could have went under the post and straightened them out. Mel said, rather than your mother hitting me up or saying something to me, you could have hit me up. And Stormy said she ain't had the number, but people were saying stuff under the post. Mel said she didn't see the things that people were saying and doing, and she didn't know that people were going as far as trying to get her business pulled off the shelves and stuff like that. I do believe that at some point Mel saw something. I don't believe Mel saw all the negative things because Mel is busy. I'm going to be honest. Me personally, I'm on YouTube, right? Here I have over 1,000 subscribers now. Whoop, whoop. And we're still growing. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that. What are you waiting on? But There are times where I do not see everything, to the point where there's supposed to be this section on the page when you go to your stuff where you can see all the comments that are made on various videos. And for some reason, I need to look into it some more. I'll see the initial comment and I'll comment on it. But if somebody else makes another comment on it, sometimes it doesn't come back up, to the point where I have to go to the actual video and look to see if another comment was made. I don't catch them all. And there are times, like I went back a couple weeks ago and there was comment that was made like a month or two ago that I didn't catch, and I felt really bad because I love seeing the comments. So with that being said, I can understand how Mel would not see everything, but Mel did see something. But it's not that big of a deal. They made this so much deeper than it had to be. She says, she's going back and forth with Mel, and Mel's like, I don't have time to argue with you. You too old for me to be arguing. You're my mother's age. I don't want to do that with you. She telling Mel she over here arguing with this man about a divorce that happened 3 years ago, whatever. Bottom line, with all the back and forth, Miss Betty Crocker admitted that she's been watching since season 1. So Betty is a fan who wanted her moment, and Carlos has given it to her via the show. Overall, this reunion, it was all right. Didn't do much for me. I'm tired of it. I don't know, y'all. One of the things that I like about videos is I like to watch shows that I enjoy. And at one point, I really, really enjoyed this show, and I'm just not enjoying it as much. I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know if they need to give them like a gag order or something for them to shut up and stop doing so much online, because they're giving us more online than they are in the show. And to me, that is a problem. I also don't like how it seems like Carlos is kind of protecting certain people like Tisha and Marceau. I think that he sees that he's not going to be able to get Mel and Martell to carry the show, and now he's trying to get Tisha and Marceau to do it. Marceau is good. He's funny. He irritates us enough. Tisha is not. As far as the Fletchers, I think that the Fletchers could help, but they got to work out something, because something just isn't gelling right. Anyways, if you have not done so already, as I said a couple seconds ago, like that video. It really does help me get in the algorithm. I'm trying to not just be like this person that's one dimension. I want to be seen across different platforms and just get my name out there. Thank you for your time. Until next time.